all for joining. So tonight we're going to be talking about AI specific to writing. That close to 2 weeks ago we were in Los Angeles. And what do you do in Los Angeles? So you speak about the industry, as they call it over there, which is Hollywood. So it was the broader question about creativity. What does human creativity still make a difference in the age of AI? But today we're going to be specifically talking about writing, about the creative pursuit of writing and language in general. And that's going to be the topic tonight. And the story that I always like to begin with is of MIT professor Joseph Weizenbaum. That in 1966 at MIT, he created the first chatbot called Eliza. And by our standards, now that we have all the fancy AI, by our standards, it was very rudimentary. But even in those days, even 1966, it was still very impressive, specifically to his secretary. What was the nature of this chatbot, Eliza? It was programmed to be a therapist. Why? Because a therapist, you can have like a very basic model where someone says something and then the chatbot parrots it back to the person. So you may think that this is someone who's real or a very advanced AI on the other side, but really this was a very, by our standards today, very rudimentary. But in those days, this was very advanced. And the secretary, for instance, was playing around with this chatbot Eliza. She was complaining about men. And you can imagine that she says, "Oh, men, such a problem with men. I have such a problem with men." And the chatbot says, "Oh, it sounds like you have a problem with men." And from this alone, she was convinced. So this led Joseph Weizenbaum to realize, hey, wait a minute, that people can be so easily convinced that maybe this, even beyond the program, that maybe people can think that maybe that robots and AI and computing is somehow going to be like humans one day. This is what he said. And so he wrote papers and articles and spoke in books about how he doesn't ever believe that this will happen, that a robot, that AI can become sentient, can become conscious, will ever reach what a human can achieve. And so I like to begin with this because AI is good for many things, but what it's not human. It may seem like it is, but it's not. And so the first lesson of, you want to know why it's good and important to devote oneself to the creative arts, to for instance, to write, is that this is something that's uniquely human. And it's, as AI takes off, the role of humanity becomes much more and more important, not less. As the advances of AI accelerate, as they're expected to greatly this year, so too we have to work redouble our efforts to really showcase what it means to be a human. So that's the first lesson for tonight. The second, as we could call it, sensory inputs. That you may think that you give a story to AI, you have it make a story for you, a very nice essay or book. You can ask it to make a book for you or anything, movie. but it doesn't have that life experience. Right? AI is solely derivative. And the act of creativity is something, as we discussed 2 weeks ago, that is shining to the world something entirely new that hasn't been there previously. So it's not enough. We're going to add and say, it's not enough even to have AI, let's say, write a book, and then you fill in the humanity in that book. Why is it not enough? So any writer knows you have to make it a habit. Either wake up early, stay up late. Every day that you're able to write, you have to write. It has to be a habit. And along with what you're writing, even if you're writing fantasy and science fiction and who knows what it is, you're writing your life experience into that book. You can't help but do it. So AI may come up with a very nice story, but it's separated from reality. It's not connected with reality. And even if you're writing fantasy and science fiction, it's from your life experience. You're writing yourself and your life experience into that writing. And you're embellishing it. You're adding all types of sensory inputs that you're experiencing in your life in real time. And so some of that is imparted in your writing, no matter what your writing is. Nonfiction, fiction, it doesn't make a difference. So you can have academic textbooks, things that are just researched, and so that you could say maybe AI can be good at research, and you have to check, make sure it's correct. But anything where it's kind of open-ended, it's up to you to see which chapter goes first and second, to the order of things. Even if it's nonfiction, there's an artistry to it. There's a human involvement to it. And that's part of the life experience. So the second lesson of tonight is that you're weaving your life experience, your sensory inputs, into your active writing. The third thing is that we also believe that there is divine providence, that God is orchestrating the events of our life. So it's not just like random. Things happen, and maybe there is something that God is helping to assist the writing process. So God sees you're waking up early in the morning or staying up late, and you're devoting yourself, maybe ideally to inspire someone, right? The readers that stand to benefit from whatever your creative output is. And so you start to think about your day, or the previous day, the previous week, or months, or years, and things start to fall. You start thinking about things in a deeper way. Why? Because a teacher has to really know the content, right? It's one thing just to know something by yourself, but if you want to prepare something to give it over to someone else, you have to really, really know it. So it's so too with your life experience, that you're constantly churning and churning over your life experience as the creative process is being furthered day by day. And you're starting to see your life in a deeper way also. So it's not just the surface level of those experiences that you share in your active writing. There's also an inner story, a backstory, a backdrop, a subtext behind everything that you're writing. The AI is just telling you the story. If you ask AI, how did you come up with this story? You say, well, it just came up. It's and whether you can trace it back to one creative work, or maybe it's from many creative works, you know that it's derivative. You know that there's no act of true creativity here. There's nothing new being born into the world. But true creativity is an act of, it's a labor. It takes work. And you're birthing it into the world. This is something new that no one has seen before. So as part of that, you're starting to see that the events of your life are meaningful. And the more that you devote yourself to this act of writing, these act of sharing and communicating. So that's it's a cleansing process, and it's a deepening process. It helps you to see deeper and deeper and to share deeper and deeper insights. So even though this essay or this book or this video or whatever it is may have one level of understanding, there's deeper levels of understanding. There's deeper levels of subtext behind what you're writing. So that's another important lesson, is divine providence as part of the act of writing. The other is that the act of writing is dimensional. In Kabbalah it discusses this. And this Hebrew word, it's a very, very fun and kind of like exciting way to understand this act of the creative process. Let's say writing a book. So you have the sofer. What's a sofer? So a sofer is either a scribe, like of a Torah scroll, or a mezuzah or tefillin of some holy, sacred Jewish object, or it's also like an author. The same word in Hebrew. So you have an author. The same letters, same order, same letters. Samach Peresh is also Sefer, which is a book. And what is the mode by which, the element by which the author is conveying messages contained in this book? It is Sipur, which means a story. So there's these three dimensions, which we're going to talk about more. There's the author, there's the book, and then there's the story. The story is the means by which the author is connecting his writing with the audience. So it's dimensional. You could say that that's like another difference between human creativity and behind AI, is that our writing has depth. Human writing has depth. Like we explained it before in terms of like layers, like there's subtext, different layers of understanding. There's a backstory behind everything we write. But also the act of writing itself has these three dimensions to it. Like putting your writings into book form. If you're holding a book, you can tell it. If it's a digital book, not as much. But if you're holding a physical book, it has depth to it. It has length to it, it has width to it. That's another important lesson. This teaching comes all the way back from Sefer Yetzirah, from the book of Formation, the very first book of Kabbalah, attributed to Abraham. So this is it's not enough just to have good sounding stories, like AI generated books and stories. That humanity is capable of imparting depth on many levels. One, both the depth of my experience in my life, called divine providence, that God is orchestrating the events of my life, and also that the actual act of writing, of creating a book, is creating something that has weight to it. But it's also creating a relationship of soul to soul. That's another thing that AI can't do. You expect that an author is imparting their wisdom, their teachings, their thoughts, and they're sharing it. And it's a bid for connection. So while the medium is the book, the goal is to connect two souls. So it's very popular now that authors try to build communities. They have websites, they have seminars, they have workshops. It's a bid for connection, to build communities. So that's ultimately what you can never have for AI. AI doesn't have a sense for for the ability to create a community, or it doesn't have that humanity in order for that to actually happen. So now we just are in the Hebrew month of Cheshvan, and every week we read the Torah, the Bible, and in this week's portion of the Bible is the week of Noah, all about Noah, the Torah portion of Noah. So in some ways, the very best time to be speaking about the importance of human writing and human speech and human communication ultimately over that of AI is tonight. Why? Why is that? So first of all, now we're in the month of Cheshvan. According to Rabbi Eliezer, the flood started on the 17th of the Hebrew month of Cheshvan, and it ended, the ground was fully dry, and Noah exited the ark on the 27th of Cheshvan. So there's a connection, not just that we're reading this Torah portion, this Bible portion this week, but there's also a connection to this Hebrew month. But there's something else astounding, and that is we're talking about technology. So what is technology in a spiritual sense? What does it represent? So after the original sin, with Adam and Eve, there was this curse that was heaped upon mankind, upon man, that with the sweat of your face, after you toil with it very much, then you'll, that's the commentator, then you'll be able to eat bread. What's the verse? This is from Genesis chapter 3, verse 19. With the sweat of your face you shall eat bread until you return to the ground. For you are taking therefrom. For dust you are, and to dust you will return. So, meaning that in order to make a living, you have to work hard. You have to work very hard. Like this person who commented, right? AI doesn't have a soul, right? Exactly. So this original curse from the sin of Adam is that we have to work very hard. So where did you see this start to get easier? Technology. That's how it explains. Specifically with Noah, actually, he created the plow. There's differing opinions whether he invented the plow before the flood or after the flood. But that was the start of things starting to get easier by means of technology. But what's the if you read every day a portion of the weekly Torah portion, the weekly Bible portion, the portion for tonight and tomorrow is actually the misuse of technology, the first example of misuse of technology. Then Noah invented the plow, and what does he do with the plow? A lot of people know this. What does he do with the plow after he gets back on earth? He plants a vineyard. And what does he do after he plants the vineyard and he harvests the vineyard with his plow? He gets drunk. It's not a great story. So, if ever there was a cautionary tale about technology, this is it. He created the plow. He invented the plow. It's a very good thing. It's going to start getting easier. We're not going to have to work so hard, right? Originally we had to work very hard in order to harvest and plant and harvest and get bread. But now it's going to be easier. But then what does he do with it? He plants a vineyard and he harvests and he gets drunk. So we have to know that AI is very good, but it has its limitations. And so the deepest teaching that relates specifically to this week, most amazingly, the other kind of, if you want to know the story behind the story of this class, is that initially, when you plan a class, you just say, okay, let's do it on this day. And then you start seeing, oh, it's in the weekly Torah portion of Noah. Oh, this is the day that the class is happening. Oh, and you start making these connections. Right? This is something that AI also doesn't do. Like we said, there's no awareness of divine providence with AI. So even this very class was constructed by means of only human things, hopefully, human input and endeavor. So what does it say about this? We're going to abstract this notion of entering the ark. Right? Noah, with his family, entered the ark. But in Kabbalah and Chassidut, the inner dimension of Torah, it explains that entering the ark relates to language. It relates to the spoken word. And it relates, most amazingly, like we said about the book, like we said that authoring a book is like a dimensional act. There's depth to the act of writing and conveying teachings. It's not just flat. AI is just flat and soulless, right? But there's depth to the actual act of just speaking. So how is this explained? The dimensions of the ark are 300 cubits by 50 cubits by 30 cubits. That's the dimensions of the ark. So in gematria, in numerical value, every Hebrew letter has a numerical value. So 300 is the letter Shin, 50 is the letter Nun, and 30 is the letter Lamed. What does that spell? What word does that spell? To change the order around a little bit, but it spells the word Lashon. Lashon means tongue or language. So entering into the ark, say the Kabbalists, is entering into this three-dimensional aspect of language. Right? AI, we said, is just flat and soulless. Right? There's nothing behind that story. There's no backdrop. There's no depth. There's no author trying to communicate with you. No author that is writing because he thinks it's going to inspire anyone. But there's also you're not entering the ark. Every writer has to feel like they're entering the ark. Right. God creates everything through speaking, as a comment. Right. So all of creation is created continuously by means of the Hebrew letters. And creation has three dimensions to it. Well, it has more than three. It also has the time dimension. We mentioned the time dimension because we're living in the time dimension. That's the other thing that the AI doesn't have. It doesn't have any dimension. It's just two-dimensional, if that's. It's just there's no depth to it for sure, and it doesn't have the realization of time. We could say it doesn't have any dimensions because it's not just like a virtual reality. Only the human involvement is creating actual space in this world, and sanctifying actual. You can write a book on Torah, on the Bible, and that book itself gains sanctity. That's the human involvement. That you are authoring a book and you're bringing about the revelation of holiness, of light and holiness into the world through the light of your soul, through the shining the light of your soul. So that's the this meditation on entering the ark is a meditation on all of creation. So what does Noah bring to the ark? He brings a representative of all the animals, the animal kingdom, not the fish of the sea, but let's call it the land dwellers. And it's understanding that all of creation is singing its praises to God. All of creation has its own story to tell. Where do you see that? What book is that depicted in? That's the book attributed to King David, called Perek Shira, the Song of Creation. So another question about the Torah has hidden codes, for sure. Every generation reveals what is meant to be revealed in that generation. 100%. That's it. My rabbi is Rabbi Yitzchak Ginsburg, and a great Kabbalist, a Chabad Chassid. And every time he speaks, it's like this is like the first time that something is being revealed to the world. But every person has that ability, because that's what creativity is. That when you are connecting, like to where Moses gets his inspiration from, trying to emulate to the best of your ability that connection with God and connecting to your soul roots and your reason and purpose for being in here in this world. So you have an awareness of your talents and abilities, and you have to share the light of your soul with the world. And you have to feel like it's not derivative. Again, that's kind of the lesson, is that we are not derivative, and we have to act like that. We have to step up our game and not do things that AI can do. To do those things that are uniquely human, which is creativity. And as I said in the class 2 weeks ago, it has to be done with joy. That's also an important thing with creativity. We don't believe in the suffering artist. We believe in the happy artist, the joyful artist. So you have to make your writing dimensional, both in terms of your personal videos and essays and whatever you come up with, but also to realize that you are a part of the greater picture here. And all of creation is meant to reach its potential. That's kind of like, again, entering the ark. All of creation singing the praises to Hashem is like all of the animals, all of the creations singing their praises. And in Parak Shira, in the Song of Creation, it's not just animals. You have constellations and everything sings its praises to God. Every single element of creation. So King David chose some representative examples, but everything in creation sings its praises to God. So every day, we are writing the story of our life. We can't let AI take the place of our writing, because we're writing the story of our life. We're writing our life into whatever we're writing, except maybe like a dry academic or research book. Maybe that you could argue. But again, anything that takes some type of creativity or artistry, even if it's just like ordering the chapters, something, anything, takes us to be connected to our life, to be living our life connected to God and connected to those events happening all around us. We're like the main character, the main protagonist of our own life story. And everyone else is characters in that. But our motivation is to make them the main characters. Like if you play a game, there's main characters and then there's other non-main characters. But our job is to teach other people how to become the main character of their own story in life. Right? They shouldn't think that AI is doing the job and that they could just go on easy street. And AI has taken over this realm of creativity. No, we have to work even harder. But we have to work very hard because AI is showing us those things that we previously thought were human. No, you have to redefine what being human is at this point every day, maybe even every hour at this point, because technology is advancing so fast. So there's a famous saying of Rabbi David of Lelov. He once said that currently you learn the tractate of Bava Kama. This is one of the tractates, one of the sections of the oral Torah, the oral Bible, the Talmud. But in the world to come, in the future, which is the world that we're currently living in, there's going to be an additional tractate. And the name of that tractate is not Bava Kama. The name of that tractate is Rabbi David of Lelov. What does that mean? Is that we each should view that our life is a story that's going to be worth telling for generations to come. Especially now, we have to work hard to reveal the goodness of creation. It's not that it doesn't come easy. Anything worth doing, if you want a bestseller, The protagonist has to have challenges and obstacles that they overcome, right? If they're just on easy street, then it's boring. What's the point? No, that's what humanity is. That's what it means to be the protagonist of a story, of your own life story that you're living and telling every day of your life. But if you want it to be something that other people learn from, that's what it means. For other people, for it to become part of the Torah. What's Torah? Torah means instruction. So if you want it to be something that people learn from for generations to come, then your life has to be something that's an instruction. And it doesn't mean, by the way, that your life is perfect. Actually, it means maybe the opposite. If you look at the lives of David and Moses and all these people, their lives were far from perfect. Joseph, my gosh. But they withstood challenges, and they overcame the obstacles, and they persevered, and they never gave up, and they continued day after day, plowing their way forward. So it's our job to emulate these righteous souls of these stories that we tell of Siddiqim, of these righteous people. It's our job in our generation to emulate that in our best possible way, which is to think that our lives matter, that we have a life of gravitas. What we're doing matters. And the biggest thing that matters is those people that we stand to inspire and connect with and bring light to by shining the light of our soul and make main characters of their own story. Right? Especially now that AI is getting very realistic. Just a day or two ago, they had a news anchor talking about which jobs AI may replace. And at the end of this, you heard this? At the end of this news broadcast, they said, surprise, that anchor herself was AI created. And everything in that segment was AI created. So it makes you question, right? But it's the humanity is emerging. Then no longer can we say that good is good enough. We have to excel in what those specific human endeavors are. And again, it's for the sake of contributing something to the world. We have to feel like we stand to contribute something unique to the world. God has given us unique talents and abilities that only we are capable of shining to the world. And then we have people that will resonate with that and hopefully be inspired and become the main characters of their own story. So again, to create my story means at every moment I'm aware of the divine providence, how God is orchestrating my life. If you watch a movie or a play and you say, oh, how well all the characters, how well the interplay is, how everything works out. So our job is not to figure out how things work out. Our job is just to set on the path. It says that God wants, this is a verse in the Bible, God wants Abraham to walk before him. What does it say of Noah? This is the week of Noah. What does it say of Noah? It says that Noah walked with God. Meaning he was always looking for approval to make sure he's doing the right thing. But Abraham was not like that. He walked before God. Meaning you have to have the confidence to set forth on the journey of life, on this path forward, and to know that you are here for a reason, and you're to fulfill your mission and purpose. And the more you set on step by step, forward by forward, making it the habit, in this case of writing, the more you'll see how everything is so divinely orchestrated in your life. And you'll start seeing deeper and deeper into your own life experience. So with that, I think we'll conclude. It's only the beginning. Please stay tuned. Hopefully, in the future, we'll work on some creative writing workshops and different ways to flush out the creative potential of humanity, because this is right now is when it's needed most. So, thank you very much.